It's time for Recipe of the Day. If you're doing a Sunday dinner today and need an amazing potato side dish, you have got to try my best ever Greek lemon potato recipe. I am not going to butcher saying this in Greek because I know that I cannot do it, but it is a classic dish. It has its own Greek name, and I first tried these babies when I lived in Toronto. I was there for like 10 years in my 20s, and I lived just off the Danforth in an area called Greektown. And it was called that because when a lot of Greek immigrants had first moved to Canada, a lot of them had settled there. There are Greek churches, Greek shops, and a lot of Greek restaurants there. Nowadays, a lot of the original Greek immigrants have, of course, moved to other areas, but those restaurants and shops have remained, and it is the best place to get Greek food, and all other kinds of food are there now too. And they even have a street festival every year called Taste of the Danforth, where all those restaurants come out onto the sidewalks and they're cooking all kinds of food. You will definitely get your fill of tzatziki and of Greek lemon potatoes if you go to Taste of the Danforth. I definitely recommend it. That street festival and so many of the street festivals in Toronto are amazing. Now, I'm telling you, I first tried this in Toronto at many different restaurants in Greektown. My favorites, though, were the ones that were nice and browned on the outside. They get kind of caramelized because the lemon has kind of cooked into them and they're like chewy brown. You know what I mean? And then they are soft on the inside. Having said that, I have had many versions that are just kind of all soft throughout with no browning. I don't like those as much. So when it came time to do the recipe for the site, for the cookful, I really wanted the recipe to have that browning and caramelization. That was the goal that I was trying to attain. And I think we really perfected it. The key really was to not do the whole thing in the oven. So many recipes for Greek lemon potatoes have you mix the potatoes, raw uncooked potatoes, with a lemon juice and broth mixture and then bake them covered. The idea being that they're going to soak up that lemony liquid. Then you take the foil off or the cover off and then they're supposed to brown. But really, usually a lot of that juice doesn't actually fully get absorbed or fully evaporated, and then the potatoes don't brown. It's just too humid. So I really wanted to solve that problem. So we brown them on the stove first, then add the liquid, and then let them soak up that lemony flavor. See what I mean? Okay, let's make these potatoes. You are preheating your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And then I like to use a waxy potato like a Yukon Gold for this because they hold their shape when they're soaking up that liquid and they don't kind of fall apart. If you like a fluffier potato, you could totally use that instead. You're peeling those large Yukon Gold potatoes, 2 pounds of them, and cutting them into quarters. Then get out a large oven-proof skillet and heat it over medium-high heat. And I'm just going to say you absolutely can use a cast iron skillet here. Often we don't like to put acidic things in cast iron, but in this case, as long as your cast iron skillet is seasoned fairly well, we are diluting the lemon juice with some broth and it's not in there for very long, so it's not going to be a problem to have it in that cast iron. But if you don't want to use a cast iron skillet, or if you don't have one, any oven-safe skillet's going to be fine. Or you can start these in a skillet on the stove and then transfer them to a baking dish if you don't have an oven-safe skillet. Okay, so you're getting your oven-safe skillet over medium-high heat, and then you're adding 3 tablespoons of olive oil, swirling it around to coat, and then add in those quartered potatoes, cut side down. You want all of them to have cut side, no rounded side down, and then sprinkle some salt evenly over top, 2 teaspoons, and cook them until that underside, that flat side that you put down there, is nice and golden brown, about 3 to 5 minutes. Then use some tongs to flip those potatoes all over so that their browned side is facing up. And then you're pouring in 3/4 of a cup of chicken broth and the juice of 1 lemon. That's about 3 tablespoons. I'm just going to say, before you juice the lemon, zest it though, and set that zest aside because we're going to need it later in the recipe. Okay, then you are putting that pan with the potatoes, chicken stock, and lemon juice, with those potatoes still their brown side up, into the oven. What's going to happen is that brown side is still going to stay nice and brown while those bottoms of the potatoes soak up that lemony chicken stock. Perfect, right? That is baking for 40 minutes in the oven. You don't do anything to those, but you're going to do one more flavorful, amazing thing. Get that lemon zest that you took off of the lemon, put it in a little bowl, mince up 1 large clove of garlic. If they're smaller, do 2 or 3. And to that, add some fresh minced oregano, thyme, or parsley, or you can use some dry oregano if you want. It's just not going to be quite as good as the fresh here. Then after that 40 minutes, do give a little check to those potatoes. Make sure they are tender all the way through, but I know that they will be. And then you're going to sprinkle them all over with your lemon zest, garlic, and herb mixture. Give a stir and serve and pretend you are in Greece or in Toronto. I will put the link to this recipe in the show notes for this podcast episode, or you can head to cookthestory.com/ROTD and get it there. The recipes there are arranged by date, so it's helpful to know that today is August 18th of 2024. If you make this recipe and love it, or if you make any of the recipes from either of my sites, cookthestory.com or thecookful.com, and you love them, I would really appreciate it if you would leave a 5-star rating and a comment. The comment lets me know that you're out there making this food and that you're liking it. I really appreciate that. And then the 5-star rating, well, that does that as well, but it does one other thing. It lets other people know that you like the recipe. They see that, like, you know, when you're searching for a recipe on Google, say you're searching for Greek lemon potatoes, and you see the different search results, all the different websites come up, you see those 5-star ratings and it makes you more likely to click. So when you put a 5-star rating on one of my recipes, you help me bring more people to the website, which helps me grow my business and makes it easier for me and my team to keep putting out these recipes for you and the podcast episodes, the social media videos, all of that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you for listening. I'm Christine Pittman from cookthestory.com, thecookful.com, the all new chicken cookbook, and from this podcast, Recipe of the Day. I hope you have a great day. Let's get cooking.